This podcast assumes that you have a general knowledge of the Tate LaBianca murders. Sharon Tate Polanski, Jay Sebring, Wojciech Frykowski, Abigail Folger, and Stephen Parent were murdered on Cielo Drive in Los Angeles on August 9, 1969. Lena and Rosemary LaBianca were slain in their Los Feliz residence the following night. Charles Manson, Charles Watson, Susan Atkins, Patricia Quenwinkle, and Leslie Van Houten were convicted of those murders. Say hello to the Goodbye Helter Skelter podcast.
This is Global Tel-Link. You have a prepaid call from
Kenneth Nowlin.
an inmate at the California State Prison, San Quentin, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel-Link.
Hi, I'm George Stimson, and this is the 28th episode of the Goodbye Helter Skelter podcast. Today, I wanted to do something a little different. I'm not going to talk about the Tate LaBianca murders. Rather, I want to introduce you to Kenneth Thunder Nowlin. Thunder Nowlin is 43 years old. He has been in either youth detention, jail, or prison since he was 15, except for a 9-month stretch of freedom when he was 21. Currently, he is on California's death row at San Quentin State Prison. But for over a year, in 2011 and 2012, he was incarcerated in a cell next to Charles Manson in California State Prison Corcoran's Security Housing Unit, or SHU. Because of this association, and because of his own decades-long experience in prison, Thunder Nowlin has unique and unparalleled insights into Charles Manson. Those insights are worth hearing. So, here is Kenneth Thunder Nowlin.
I'm Thunder, soldier of Atwa. My name is Kenneth Lee Nowlin, T60415. I'm at San Quentin, California prison, death row. I knew Charlie when he was in Corcoran's SHU, and I had moved right next door to him. And originally, man, I had this idea in my head. I don't know where I got it, but I had this idea in my head that he had killed a woman and ate her baby and did all this crazy shit. So I had moved next to him originally to kill him, man. I wanted to be that guy that killed Charles Manson, and that's just how my mind worked at that time. And as I'm getting to know this guy, getting him comfortable and stuff, I really started liking him, man. And he was like, he was a good dude, man. He didn't seem like the kind to do that. But there's often you can't tell. There's many times that people do that shit and they seem like good, happy fellows. So I started digging into his history. I started researching some of his case, got his case law, started going to his law library, checking out his case law. And I seen then this guy got railroaded, and it happens to a lot of people, man. And when this happens, oftentimes they're stuck, man. They're stuck, and it doesn't matter what they say, it doesn't matter what they do. Nobody's going to listen because the media has this concept of them already, and the general public has this concept of them. And Charlie, man, he was like a good dude, man. I couldn't believe I was about to kill this guy and fucking over nothing. And he sent me some of his paperwork, a lot of his paperwork, actually. That's just what you do when you're in the SHU or in prison. You swap paperwork, so he knows what you're about. I know what he's about. But at the time, he had seen a bunch of posters of me up in all over Corcoran SHU, because I was known to carry cuff keys in my nasal cavity and weapons and stuff like that. And I was from war, White Aryan Resistance. And so he's seen these posters of me up all over. And what he told me, and he told a few other people later on, was that anybody who's hated that much by the cops isn't going to go run into the cops to tell on them. So, I mean, it made sense, but at the same time, we both had our own reasons for talking to each other, and we got talking really good, and a lot of kites going back and forth. But I noticed, I mean, kites. He hated kites because, I mean, he loved writing kites, but he's always wanting kites back, and that's fine. I always gave him kites back, and vice versa. Like in your shoe, you always get your kites back so you can't turn them in, or somebody can't turn them in on you. But I decided to hook up a pocket talker, which is a listening device for the hearing impaired. And we have a chase that runs through our rooms, and it's where the plumbing's at. So I made a blowgun, and I shot a blowgun with dart with the little spitball and a little string on it. And I put it through the chase. See, you don't have plug outlets in the shoe. So you got to put your plug outlet through the chase, and then the cop will plug your cord in somewhere to the chase. And when he does this, it leaves the chase hole open just a tiny bit. And that was great because then you could take and you can make a spitball gun and put a little string on there, and we'd shoot him in there, right? And he'd shoot his, and we'd try to pull it and try to cross him. And if we didn't get it, we tried again. We did about 10 times, man, until we got it right. And once I had the line, I was able to send him over the wire through the wire that's connected to the pocket talker. And as we kept sending the wire through, because I had to send one wire for earbuds and I had to send one wire for the mic. And the mic wouldn't fit through there, so I had to send the mic over during passing it. You have the cops pass stuff. And they didn't know what it was. It was like inside of something else. I forget, like clothes or something, or mail or whatever. So I told him how to hook it up. And it's basically he could leave that mic anywhere in his cell. And if he left it in his cell, anywhere in there, you could hear a burp, you could hear a fart, you could hear a whisper. These things pick up amazing sound. And then you had earbuds. So the earbuds are really long. And so he could walk anywhere in his cell. I could walk anywhere in my cell. We both had a microphone. And it was like we were cellies that way because nobody on the tier can hear anything that we say. And he could hear everything I say. I could hear everything he says just perfect. And so we became cellies, man. And we talked for about 18 to 20 hours a day. Neither one of us slept very much. And we talked about everything from philosophy to science to just poetry to writing stuff or Atwa or, he liked to talk about a lot of people that were in his life. And he liked to talk about his case, but I don't like hearing about people's cases, not because he had anything bad, but because I don't want to know anything that he could later be worried about me telling on him for, because he got real paranoid about a lot of people. And I noticed that. And he'd tell me that these are some of his friends that he's had for 20, 30 years, and he was getting paranoid on them. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't want this dude to ever turn paranoid on me because you don't know if somebody, what they're thinking, all you know is what they're saying, And so actions speak louder than words. So the first few months, he bought me all kinds of stuff, store, package, TV. He buys everyone TVs in there. Like everybody you can imagine that comes in there that needs a TV, he'll buy him a TV. This guy was so generous, man. Charlie was like, and it wasn't one of those things where he was trying to buy favors or anything like that. He just didn't like seeing people go without. So he started hooking me. I didn't have anybody in my life. I didn't have no pen pals. I didn't have no girl. I didn't have nobody to visit. And he started hooking me up with people in his life, that meant the most to him. And Stars started visiting me. We'd visit for probably about 9 months every weekend. Because a lot of times he didn't like coming out, man, mainly because they strip him out and they're like, sit there and want to see your asshole every time you strip out. If you're one of those guys that they just don't like, and they didn't like Charlie. And that's what started getting me pissed, was fucking all the people that were hating on him. And I mean, they bang on his wall, on the other wall, or they bang or they tap on the fucking, because he was downstairs, or they would tap on the fucking scene, and I could hear all this shit. Now, I had a radio, so it wasn't a big deal for me, but I didn't play the radio much because I like to hear and talk with Charlie. Charlie was like me, man, in so many senses, and I was like him. And, we would talk about everything under the sun, man. And it was awesome because I wasn't allowed to have cellies no more because of my violence and stuff. And he didn't have those trust issues with me because he knew the cops hated me just as much as they hate him. The only difference is let's see, that was 2012. So 6 years previous to that, I cut a CO's throat and got 14 years for it. And he knew this. And when you do that, you're not someone that goes and tells on people with the cops. The cops hate you. They don't want to hear shit you got to say. Even if I had the biggest fucking information in the world, these people did not want to hear it from me because I hurt one of theirs. And, so like he's seen my paperwork. He knew what I was about, and the trust wasn't an issue. And, Star started visiting every weekend, and mainly to check on him because he wouldn't come out to visits and stuff, and even when he did, I'd see all the people fucking with them. And I don't like to speak up for many people that often in my life, but I did for Charlie. And I told people, look, just leave the dude alone, man. He ain't fucking bothering you. He ain't bothering nobody, man. Leave the fucking dude alone. And so they started listening, and because I had a lot of clout, being who I was and everything I represented and everything I'd done in prison. And most guys like me would not speak up for Charlie because they want to kill him, and I did. But at some point, it changed from wanting to kill the guy to wanting to protect him and help him. Not protect him like he didn't need protecting, okay? Charlie, like I said before, Charlie had over 120 fights on his 128G. So the old man can get him up. And he stayed in shape. He liked to work out, it may not be like a hardcore workout. We call them Jane Fonda workouts or geriatric workouts. But either way, the man was 70 fucking years old, 70 plus years old. I think he was like 72 or 73 when I was there. And this old man's still in there jogging. And he's got his bandana on. And he's jogging along, or he's doing a few burpees, or he's doing jumping jacks, and I come by, what's up, old man? He's all, oh, not much, youngster. What's going on? And he's always happy no matter what he's going through or what he's dealing with. So all these external fucking people, external things that was going on, fucking with him. Like one time he went out for a visit, somebody threw a banana peel off the tier and hit him in the back. So he just turned around and went back into a cell, man. I was like, come on, Charlie, you got to go to your visits, man. These people love you. They're here for you. They're there to support you. He's like, look, I'm not coming out if I got to show my asshole to everybody. I'm not coming out if I'm going to have banana peels thrown at me. I'm not coming out if I'm going to be fucked with all the time. This is my sanctuary. This is my home. And that's how he felt, like his cell was his home. And that's how we all feel after a while, As time goes on and we start to feel that way about ourselves, you lose sight of who you were and who you are and who you can be. And Charlie always thought, look, if I get out, then I'm nobody. If I'm in here, I'm somebody because the world hates me. If I get out, the world loves me. And he's all, hate is stronger than love when it's used in the right fashion, and love is stronger than hate when it's used in the right fashion. So Charlie was a contradiction in everything, man. Everything he did and said was a contradiction. But here's the thing. Times change. Time does not stand still. So if time stands still right now, bam, okay, boom, time stood still. And I say, I'm a lover. And then time moves on and I continue to say I'm a lover. What am I? I'm not adapting to the times and changes, right? The flow of time, the flow of life, the flow of man, the flow of nature. You've got to adapt, and you've got to constantly be adapting as time flows on. Now, you can make certain stands. Your visit will end in 1 minute. You can make certain stands like I love nature. I love this earth. I love animals. I love trees. I love water. You know what I mean? And you could make all this stand, I love animals, man. And you could stay on that path as time flatters on. But people are always saying, oh, he said this, but then he said this, so he's lying. Charlie didn't lie, bro. Like I try to catch that man as so many lies. But what it is when you got that flow of time, you've got to constantly be adapting. And what you may believe right now, you're not going to believe later. And so you change. A lot of people think, oh, I've got to stay who I am. I've got to stick with my guns, even though it doesn't make any sense. I've got to stick with my guns or people are going to think badly of me. No. So Charlie was a contradiction in everything that he did and said. And that's why I love the man, because he could adapt. And in prison, you've got to adapt. If you don't adapt, you die. Yeah, he was wondering about my crimes. Originally, I got busted for burglary, trespassing as a kid. I went to YA at 15 to 21. And let's see, I got out on my 21st birthday, and I was out probably about 9 months, and 9 months, maybe a year. I can't really remember. And I pulled a bunch of armed robberies. I wanted to go into the military, but the military wouldn't let me in because of my feet. I scored really high, and they wouldn't let me in because of my feet. So I got upset, and I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm going back to prison because I'm institutionalized by that point. So I pulled some more robberies. Pulled a little over 300 armed robberies, but they knew about 86 of them. Hold on, let me move this chair. All right. They knew about 86 of them. So they told me if I pled guilty to all 86, or if I close the book on 86, then I'll just have to do time for 9. So that's what I did. I got 26 years for 9 armed robberies. And then let's see, I was locked up in Calipatria in 2006. Actually, let's back up. So when I got those 26 years, I got busted in Nevada. So I owed time in Nevada. I owed like 15 years in Nevada for armed robberies, and I cut a guy's throat when I was in the county jail. And then I had cut him again when I went to the actual prison out there, High Desert. They have High Desert as well, not just High Desert in California. They have High Desert in Nevada. So I seen him again, and I thought, man, fuck, this guy's gonna try to kill me if he sees me, if he recognizes me. So I got him first before he could get me, and so I got more time for that. So I owed like 15 years, but after like 4 years, they said I brought too much racial tension and violence to their otherwise peaceful prison system, and they paroled me. They paroled me like 12 years early, and paroled me to California prison system, so I could finish doing my 26 years. So I got here in 2005, the end of 2005, and by the beginning of 2006, I was in Calipatria State Prison down south, and I cut a guard's throat, and I got 14 years for that. He lived. It was attempted murder, and I got 14 years for that. So I went to the SHU again, and back in the SHU, and like I said, I've been in the whole time in YA. I've been in the whole time in Nevada. So I was back in the SHU, and in 2009, I picked up institutional murder, and on the SHU yard for It's like an all-white yard. They have, the way they do it there is they segregate things. So you'll have an all-Mexican yard, you'll have an all-black yard, you'll have an all-white yard, and everyone who's active can go out there. And then they have like one yard that's for like a bunch of people, different races, but those are like non-active in the prison politics or gang violence and stuff. So I was on an all-white yard with 5 or 6 people when picked up that murder. With my co-defendant, and then I went to Corcoran. Well, actually, I was involved in some gladiator fights, and they wrote me up for it, and they wrote me up for assault and battery on one. I told them, look, if you write me up, I'm gonna sue. I'll shine the light on all these gladiator fights you guys be doing. I love to fight. I love the gladiator fights, but I'm like this. If they're going to write me up over that shit because they got caught doing it, then that's some bullshit. So I fucking sued and I won. And it was Nowlin versus Knickerbocker, the state of California, Knickerbocker. I took a settlement on that. And then, so since I sued them and I had that institutional murder there, they fucking sent me to Corcoran in 2000. The end of 2009 or the beginning of 2010, I can't remember. And when I was over there, I was heavy into the politics, the prison politics with the AB, which is Aryan Brotherhood. And I was behind the scenes, doing everything with them, and got to know them real good. Like my whole career, I had done everything so that I could gain their attention, so I could gain the power, so I could get up there, so that I could change things for guys like me or anybody else coming into the system who just wants to kick back and do their time. And so that was my plan. That wasn't necessarily get up there so I could just start killing people. Yeah, I killed people, and I've done things in here that are atrocious to some. But it's like this. This is how I feel. You thrive on the streets. Okay? You have 2 categories of people. You have survivors and you have thrivers. Okay? And a survivor lives in fear every day. If he's on the streets, the survivor lives in fear that he's going to lose his job, or he's not going to get a paycheck, he's going to get kicked out of his apartment. That's a survivor, living in fear, but he's getting by. A thriver is somebody who can miss a few paychecks, who can have his car out, who can, who doesn't have to live in fear. And it's the same way in prison. You have 2 categories. You have a survivor and you have a thriver. And I was not going to be a survivor. I did not want to just live in fear. I wanted to be a thriver. But here's the thing. For a thriver on the streets, you've got to do things that are sacrificial. You got to work a lot. You got to pay a lot of money for school. You've got to put in the blood, sweat, and tears. You don't just have shit handed to you, And the survivor's willing to do that. It's just he's got a lot of bad breaks. He might be a dope fiend. He might just have a bad job. He might just be stuck in a bad relationship, whatever. But in prison, you have 2 categories of guys. You have the survivor and the thriver. And I wanted to be a thriver because I'm not going to live in fear every day that somebody's going to hurt me or take my shit or do anything to me or my friends. That's just not how I live. So, as a thriver, you got to do things that are just very violent, and you got to lose your conscience. They have this saying: you got to check your feelings at the door. And I just manipulated that a little bit and says you gotta check your conscience at the door. And then the day that you're done fucking getting that reputation and getting up there and going up to the top of the food chain, and once you're at the top of the food chain, then you can sit back, you can pray if you want, you can sleep if you want, you can eat if you want, you can do anything you want without having to fear that somebody's going to come after you because they're scared of you. Now, I didn't like putting fear into people, but at the same time, I'd rather put fear into people than have to fear other people. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that some badass ain't going to come by and put one in your back, because the way it is like this. When you're at the top, everyone tries to kill you, just like if you were at the bottom. But by then, you have enough resources, you've networked, you have enough allies, you have a big enough reputation that they know that they're not going to succeed in doing it. So they don't do it. But they all want to, because if they take out, if somebody says, oh, I took out Thunder, then their reputation goes from here to up here, you know? But I'm somebody who likes to network and make friends with everybody, even my enemies. I like to make friends with. I'm not somebody who likes to have that negative shit. Just because I've killed, just because I've whacked people or cut a cop's throat or done all these things in here, it wasn't because I wanted to. It's because I wanted to be a thriver. Just like you, if you didn't want to do all the work you had to do, you didn't want to have to pay all the money you had to pay, you didn't want to do all the stuff you had to do to be a thriver. You know what I mean? But you did, and you're a thriver. So that's how we are. And Charlie was the same way, man. He was a thriver. He wasn't a survivor. A lot of people pictured him in the protective custody category, and he's not. You know, he never asked for that. That was administrative that did that. But so like when you get old, though, you're a warrior. You're a warrior in here. You're fighting. You're going at it. You're putting them down. You're knocking people out. You're stabbing people. You're doing whatever you got to do to be a thriver at the top of the food chain. But there comes a time when you want to relax. You want to do the family thing. You want to have visits, and all you got to do is say, "Hey, homeboys, I'm going to leave this up to you now. I paid the path. I brought you into this. I've made sure you have all the tools you need to succeed. So you go ahead and handle the rest of this." It doesn't mean that you're a piece of shit. It doesn't mean you need protective custody. It just means you step back and you step out of the limelight, and now you're sitting back there. And there's two categories of men. There's movers, and then there's shakers. Okay, now. Movers are you as you're getting to the top of that food chain, okay? You're a mover. But once you're at the top and you step back, you go underground, you're a shaker. Now you have other movers up here, and when those movers aren't doing what you want, you shake shit up, and they're like, "Whoa, dude, what are you doing? Oh my God." And they fall to their knees, and they don't know what happened. And the shaker, it's up to him to either rise above the surface and put it down and tell them what needs to go on, or he needs to do it himself. And I'm a shaker now. I like to shake shit up. When I see stuff that I don't like, then I shake it up. You know what I mean? And the thing is with Charlie, I really dug the hell out of him because he was so into animals and nature and just a anti-pollution kind of way. And he wasn't like, it wasn't like he was jumping on a bandwagon. This man started this shit. You know what I mean? Like this man was the grandfather of this shit. And many environmental agencies recognize that. They just don't want to put their name behind Charles Manson, the serial killer. Some of them will, but like, me, I grew up in the San Bernardino Mountains, and I grew up in a place called Valley of Enchantment. And whenever I didn't like what was going on at home, I ran to the Valley of Enchantment, which is all wooded area and nature and animals. And I lived out there for short terms, half of a month, and then I come home, all frozen and, out of food and stuff, and just be like, all right, I'll take my punishment. But my parents never cared. It was like they didn't even know that I was out there, So, and that started at a real young age, man. I went to the mountains when I was 6. I started going out there when I was about 8. Tree houses, all that kind of stuff, man. Built my own tree houses with my dad's tools and fucking built traps out there for the law or anybody who wants to chase me. I love nature, man. And when me and Charlie clicked up, man, and we got together, we both loved nature so much, and it was. All right, 2 seconds, go. So Once again, I'm Thunder, soldier of Atwa. And I think last time I was on here, I was talking about nature and how I grew up in the San Bernardino Mountains, and Valley of Enchantment was mainly where I ran around, and it was all nature, man. It was all trees and animals and wild strawberries and blackberries, and building tree houses and watching Robin Hood and seeing how they build traps so that when people chase you, you can fortify, or you could lure them into traps. And man, I love those woods. And then we had this place called Heart Rock, and it was so awesome, man. Over time, nature had hot springs that grew out of the ground, and it would spill over this cliff and go onto this boulder. And over thousands and thousands and probably millions of years, who knows how long, it carved out a heart. And it was so awesome. And so what we would do is we'd have about 10 of us, and we're all going around trying to find hot springs because there was no more hot spring going into it. And we'd find hot springs, and we'd try to build like a little not canal, but like a little trench going to it, so it would lead over and go into the hot spring, and get the girls and go down there and have a little rope ladder and drink beer and get stoned, and we'd just have a blast, man. And at first you look at it and it's all just a bunch of pine needles in it and all that kind of stuff, but we get in there, we clean it all out, and it's like a jacuzzi, man. It was a natural jacuzzi. And there was little waterfalls, not big ones, just little ones. But as a kid, I used to put canned food in the waterfalls, So when we got stoned, man, we had some food. And man, the wild blackberries and wild strawberries were just fucking awesome, man. I miss the San Bernardino Mountains so much. It was a biker town. It was all bikers, and it was regulated by the bikers. And my dad is a biker, and I grew up as a biker, in there. And then when I left the mountain, man, they says, "Boy, don't leave this mountain. We can't protect you when you leave this mountain." Because they run the mountain, and they're like, "We can't protect you when you leave the mountain, man. The law gets you that you're in the system." But they had prepared me for the system, man. I grew up as a convict before I even got locked up, man. So when I got locked up, man, it was on and cracking. But nature, man, nature for me was my escape. It was my happy place, man. It was my like. That's where I'd go when things got bad, and it sheltered me, and it did amazing things for me. And even today, man, thinking of those days. And Star, she found online, I guess it's a tourist place now. The Heart Rock is online now, in Valley of Enchantment, Heart Rock. You can look it up and see it. And I don't know, it's probably not as big and grand as it was when we were a kid. Everything seems much bigger and grander. But, man, we had lakes, man. We had Lake Gregory and Lake Arrowhead and Big Bear Lake. And, man, that whole mountain was just awesome, man. We'd go BMX biking down the backside of it, or mountain biking down it. I grew up in nature, man. And then when I got locked up, I turned into a convict, man. And I didn't want to be low man on the totem pole, so I rose to the top, man. And that's how I was able to help Charlie out. Let me move this chair. So, that's how I was able to help Charlie out, is because all these guys are fucking with them, man. And he was a warrior, and I loved Charlie, man. And so when I moved next to him and we hooked up this pocket talker, we're talking 18 hours, 20 hours a day, man. And sometimes I'd be trying to sleep and he'd be talking. I'd be like, "Charlie, can you shut the hell up?" Or sometimes he'd be sleeping and I'd be talking. He'd be like, "Thunder, shut the hell up," or something like that. Or, I'd crack old jokes and he'd crack whippersnapper jokes. Or, we're two convicts, man. We grew up in the same system, same isolation. We grew up in the same mental health system that fucked us over. And that's the huge difference today, man. Today it's all changed, man. You got mental health that is so much better. I mean, 1,000 times better than it ever was. And you got the penal system that Charlie grew up in, and that is no more, man. And it's a rehabilitation system now. It really is. It's a school system. At least in this prison, and it's going to be spreading. You know, we got the warden is the director of prisons now, so he's going to be doing really good things, man. And you know, Charlie would love how the system is now. I mean, he wouldn't trust it. He wouldn't trust it to save his life, but he would love how it is now, man. And you know, Charlie and I, we bonded over nature. And we bonded over the fact that I could help him out in his situation where everyone's fucking with him, cops and inmates and stuff. And he was able to help me out in my situation and found people to write me. And, you know, I met my wife through him, you know. And, you know, like, he opened doors for me that he wouldn't open for other people. You know, he'd opened a few doors for people, but he opened every door to me, and he trusted me like nobody's business. And not because of anything I said or done. Well, actually, yeah, because I told him straight up, Charlie, I moved next to you to kill you, man. I'm sorry, but that's how it was. I moved next to you to kill you, brother. But you know, you changed my perspective on who you are and how you get down. And now I'm going to do everything in my power to help you and protect you. Not that he needed protecting. Charlie would go out with the best of them, and he'd knife somebody if he had to, you know, or he'd fight somebody if he had to. But he didn't have to where he was at in the PHU. And he hated the PHU, man. He hated everyone there. Every single person there he hated. It didn't matter how much he said he liked them or anything like that. That was all just a front. And he hated them because they were all rats. They were all manipulators. They were all thinking that they got over on him. And he wasn't somebody that you got over on. You thought you were getting over on him, but he was twisting it up and getting over on them, you know, or giving them a false sense of security. But when I heard about Atwa, I was a skinhead with war, White Aryan Resistance, and I had been looking to get out of the politics of it because Squad had validated me, which means I'll never get out of isolation. And I was doing, at the time, it was 16 years I had done in there, and I owed 12 more, and then they're throwing on a validation on top of that. And when you get validated, it's all your homeboys that get validated with you because they write you or you talk to them or anything. So when you get validated, man, it's best to get off the scene. It don't mean you're going protective custody. It don't mean nothing like that. It just means you disappear, man. You disappear and you go underground with it, man. And you know, the thing with Charlie is he's like, look, man, you don't got to wear your heart on your sleeve. You don't got to wear everything on your sleeve because, you know, I got portraits of Hitler on my forearm. I got swastikas all over. I got sun wheels all over. Mostly it's like Viking stuff. And recently I did my head, which I don't know if it's going to show you, but mainly because I talked about it. But you know, I got gas masks all over. I don't know if it's showing. Is it showing?
A little bit.
So I got gas masks and faces and skulls all over, and that's mainly to represent the air that we're fucking breathing is poison and toxic. And I'm doing a whole Atwa scene on my head and on my neck coming down my back. Is it showing it or is it blurred out?
That's blurred out.
Yeah, these motherfuckers. See, you show them a tattoo and they want to blur that shit out. But you know, you can see this one here. I did that one there myself, 7 hours. I don't know if you can see it good enough. See the 3-prong gas mask?
Yeah. Yep.
Let's see. Is it blurring it out?
Yep. Blurred.
Yeah,
It's
anyway,
blurred.
so it's got the whole gas mask theme. I got pictures up here. I'll send you and you can put on here. Those aren't blurred out. These people here, they want to blur out some tattoos because they're afraid of what? I don't know. They're afraid of themselves. Yeah, blur that shit out. Go ahead. What? You know what I mean? Like, really. Not that tattoos mean anything to most people, but the fact that they're blurring them out shows you that they got something to worry about. You know what I mean? But anyway, so yeah, man. Charlie and me, man, we hit it off like brothers, man, like true fucking brothers, true comrades. And he opened doors for me, and I opened doors for him. A peace and tranquility. You know, nobody fucked with him anymore. He not protecting him like physically. I didn't need to do that because you're in the shoes. You're cuffed up everywhere you go. But just telling everyone, man, leave this motherfucker alone, man. He ain't doing nothing to you. He ain't bothering you. Why you got to bother him, you know? And if they didn't, then I got on their ass, man. I got a few assaults from it. I'll send you paperwork. Matter of fact, my celly has this girl I call my celly because we stream live all the time. I'll have her send you some paperwork of some of the assaults I got on these dudes. And they had that PHU door open about this much. And you could push it and push it and push it, and it'll go rack open a little bit more. And I let them motherfuckers know, look, if anything happens to this old man, I will come through that door. I will come out of my cuffs. You know, I'm always strapped. I don't give a fuck about these people. Like I always have something on me. Let's see. Blur that out. Oh, no. Don't blur that out. That's a nice one. There you go. It'll show a knife, but it ain't going to show no tattoos. Imagine that. You know what I mean? And I don't give a fuck, man. I get so many write-ups. I just got 12 write-ups in a month and a half. One for assaulting staff, some for threatening staff, some for just damaging cells. Bottom line is I do what I want to do, and that can't nobody do nothing about it. Your visit will end in 1 minute. Oh, imagine that. But, you know, it's like this. When you're crazy like that, crazy old Pollo Loco like that, and you ain't got shit to lose, and you tell those dudes in PHU you will leave this man alone, they left him alone till the day I left. The day I left, he got 2 black eyes. And Star tried telling me that he fell off the bunk, sent me pictures of it. I said, nah, he didn't fall off no fucking bunk. In prison, anytime you get into it with somebody, your excuse is always, I fell off the bunk. Always. Even if you don't have a bunk, I fell off the bunk, okay? And that's so that the cops know, hey, shit happened, but I ain't going to play you for stupid and give you some lame-ass excuse. So I'm going to give you the old school fucking I fell off a bunk. And when that shit happened, man, I got so pissed because they didn't realize my reaches can still reach them. All right, I'm here. Continuing from yesterday about Atwa, Charlie and I talked in depth about Atwa, and he wanted me to write for him and do poetry for him and kind of do the awareness program and help him with his mail. So I would read all his mail. I'd respond to the ones he wanted me to respond to. I'd put some to the side for a later date. I still got probably about 300 addresses that I never responded to, never had time to. Many of the people we all know. And because, you know, as he got older, he had a hard time reading and writing. except for those who knew him and could read his writing already because they've been reading it over all the years. So, yeah, so he kind of brought me over to Atwa, man, and I became a soldier of Atwa, and I love that old man. He loved me, man, and we were so alike. We'd been through the same hardships. We'd been through the same thing. We loved the same things, and so he kind of groomed me for the day when he wouldn't be here, and Atwa needed to continue on in the path that he foresaw it. And I have a little poem here that I wrote that I wanted to read about this. It goes like this. Manson who? Charlie the man I knew. What would you be without him? Hell, you couldn't even believe the insane things he so often said. Insane to you and the other mediocres too. More logical to me than anything I've ever heard, felt, or seen from any other human being, president, world leader, government agenda dealers. Not once did I ever stop to stand still to listen to anyone in society's rat race to the top of the hill. I thought myself above all others in here in my gladiator's domain, till I met him and bonded his name, infamous. I seen no sign of insane. Charlie was schooled in the South where a Mongol language was prevalent. Each word, each saying, so simply said, had a deeper layer of meaning. To understand, to decipher, you must have the key to solve his mysteries. The key is to simply listen to all his stories and listen to identifying words or phrases he so carefully crafted. I still laugh at that. To the majority, Charlie rambled insanities, but don't you dare believe for a moment that there's not a method to his perceived madness. Test my claims, ask anything you want me to decipher and clarify. Say it normal language here, now, today. Challenge me, I dare you say. I'm a self-professed world-leading authority on Charlie, the person, not Manson, the name, that made it to the Hall of Fame. I know his character so well because I resided deep inside of me. I know his character so well because it resides deep inside of me. We share the same kind of hell. When I need his strength, I drink from the weird's wishing well. And I bring Charlie back alive each time I convey his will. His will is my very own, for we are brothers, always on the same page. Let no man ever lay claim to making a single penny, for me making a single penny off his name. I don't buy, trade, or sell my friends. For answers to the world's leading authority on Manson and his crimes, refer to the Manson file, first or second edition. You'll find me in the back as Kenneth Thunder Nowlin, verifying all I say on the second edition. I challenge any and all that hear my call to lay claim that I ever let Charlie fall. I will close with this thought that I'll share with you all. I never protected Charlie. Protection is a punk's game, a cowardly fate. I can never love a punk. My love, respect, honor is reserved for warriors. Charlie fought fist to cuff, toe to toe with over 120 plus foes in his youth. That's not out of his mouth. It's in black and white. 128G paperwork. I've seen with my own eyes. This fighting fiend, as authorities described it all, in prison, paperwork is worth more than solid gold. So in my eyes, a warrior such as he, whose only crime was growing old, earned my respect 10 fucking fold. So yeah, I seen it as my duty to look after him, as brothers often ever do, but never did he need protecting, because he'd rather die a violent death at the hands of a prison killer than accept protection after a wild throwdown kind of life. This may seem like mincing words or semantics, but in prison it's not what you say, but how you say it. And our friendship and brotherhood was a two-way street. He looked after me in the ways I needed it most, just like I looked after him how he needed it most. Those of you in the know, I've never made boast or talked to the media. I shun the spotlight, for on my own I shine bright. But there comes a time when man must sacrifice his own agenda to further another's who may be more noble and righteous of a cause. Such is the case now, here, with me. Charlie wanted me to lead the way for Atwa as the leaders I've always been in here. But make no mistake about it, I'm no pushover. I bring fire to hell. So if you cross me or defy my will or deny my right to honor my brother Charlie and take the reins, making his fight mine, then be warned, I will crush you completely. Otherwise, we will all get along just fine. Thunder, Soldier of Atwa. I wrote that a few years back, but I got another one here I want to read. I think I read it to you on the phone the other day, but I want to read it here on this video. It goes like this. The hour of darkness is coming to pass when man finally has to ask, is our imminent demise just over the next sunrise, gone in the blink of an eye? Does man have to die? Immortality is the power a name brings, how you're remembered and told of when the bell rings. I have high notoriety stamped on my papers. Before I even met Manson, that was my status. But when we clicked up and became brothers, comrades even, in a common cause started back in the day, by him, by my best friend, hail Sir Charles Manson for being a decent human being, and especially for passing on your fortune and decree. Your simpleness is disarming and appears rather charming. Tough and scrawny old man kept in shape into his 80s. Had 120 plus fist fights he got caught for and his many grooming standard violations. Warrior, top of his class, win or lose, no one ever asked. So long as he stood tall on his own 2 feet, in the plan is the plan. Never ratted no one out, and we know these things beyond a doubt in here. He was humiliated by age itself and cruel nobodies who showered him with their vitriolic diatribes, spitting anger seething beneath the breathing human being, with skin bags crawling in from the evening. Once men who gave it all they had, now a ghost energy that flows beneath my feet. Mortal man brings on the doom. Clusterfuck pansy-ass operations. Let me guess, I'll work off donations. I don't know when I wrote that one, but it was probably a little while back. I have a lot of anger in me, man, because I see a lot of people that Charlie wanted to unite together, and they're not united together, and it kind of upsets me because that was the one thing Charlie really, 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 really wanted, man, and he never got that. And it pisses me off because his dedication and his sacrifices and his love for the world and for nature and for what he stood for deserve that much, you know. And let me finish. 10 minutes. And so he deserved a lot more than what he's getting now. And all these clicks and all these people that click up, man, that's not what At was about, man. At was a lifestyle. It's not about clicks or who's the biggest, baddest motherfucker out there. You know what I mean? Like, it's about doing stuff for nature. It's about doing stuff for Mother Earth. It's about honoring Charlie. And the best way we can honor Charlie is under Atwa United, man. And if we start a Facebook group called Atwa United, and we don't use names, because names are tainted, man. If I got beef with somebody and I go on there and I'm Thunder and he's fucking Mike or he's Rob or he's Joe Blow or Willie Lump Lump, right? And I got beef with him, I'm going to bring that beef right there to that. And it's a waste of time. So what we need to do is we need to have Atwa United, and we need to use monikers, and we need to not use identifying anything identifying us as individuals, because in the overall spectrum of things, we are not individuals, man. We are a cause. We are a noble, true cause that Charlie started, and we've got to finish this fight. And it may not happen in our generation, but we've got to leave the hate behind. We've got to leave the spite behind. We've got to leave all that shit behind. And we've got to love, man, because Charlie loved, man. Charlie loved everyone. And over time, so many people poisoned his mind that he turned and was suspected his best friends. You know, the people who had stood by him the longest. And it wasn't his fault, man. I got a poem in here about time Acid, let me see. I got it right here, man. I love poems, man, because poems, they're my way of speaking. This one's called Acid to a Fly. Time does to the mind what acid does to a fly. It corrupts the integrity of all your thoughts, twists up your emotions, and the will to live begins to rot. No one to answer a plea of a desperate man's simple needs. I just want to hear a voice and feel sand once again beneath my feet. Anything but these concrete boxes, for it unhinges the mind's locks, breaks open all of one's most prized thoughts, thoughts better left in the unforgettable past. Help of any kind is a luxury you don't often find. Everyone looks out for themselves and turns a blind eye. See nothing, hear nothing, care not. What the next man's going through, it's his tough lot. And time does do that, man. It eats at the fucking brain, man. And when you're in here and you're abandoned by everybody because they find a different life, or they say they didn't sign up for this, or they're too busy fighting other people that they lose sight of what it really is, man. We need to come together under Atwell United, man. We need to start a Facebook group, and we need to not use names, man. And we need to go on there and we need to talk about what we're going to do to help Mother Earth, what we're going to do to start fighting the righteous fight, man, not fighting each other. That there's nothing noble and true about fighting each other, man. I fight people in here all the time, man, and it ain't what it's about. What it's about is following through with some of his projects, some of his ideas, some of his thoughts. Let's bring Charlie back alive, man. Let's not forget what he really represented, because what he represented is so much more nobler and true than what we're doing right now. And by we, I mean everybody. It don't matter if you're doing good things or bad things. If you're not united with everybody and bringing his spirit back alive, I mean, it never died, but if you're not sitting here bringing it alive to its fullest capacities, then we're not doing the right thing. I just wanted to show you some pictures in my head here, man. I started doing my whole head, blasted my whole head. The back of it's got gas mask and skulls, and I'm gonna do the water and some animals, and I'm gonna do the whole Atwell theme all along my.
This has been the Goodbye Helter Skelter podcast, the podcast dedicated to the truth about the Tate LaBianca murders, Charles Manson, and more. The views expressed on this program are solely those of the individual speakers, and they do not necessarily represent the thoughts, ideas, or opinions of any other persons, either living or dead. Visit our companion website at www.goodbyehelterskelter.com. There you can find more information about this podcast. Also, check out the Goodbye Helter Skelter Facebook page for information on upcoming programs. And let us know what you think by way of contact@goodbyehelterskelter.com. We will address any comments, questions, or concerns on future installments of the Goodbye Helter Skelter podcast.